Hello everyone, and welcome to another CADA Express from the Companion Animal Euthanasia Training Academy. I am Dr. Kathleen Cooney, and I am founder and director of education. Today's topic is titled Understanding the AVMA's Companion Animal Aftercare Guidelines. The AVMA is the American Veterinary Medical Association, and they've put together this very important information to help veterinary professionals understand how best to care for pets after they have passed, and also care for the pet owners or their clients and making sure that all those wishes are carried out. So glad that you're here. Let's go ahead and work through a lot of this quick content and hopefully get you some good tools to use in your practice or your service. So with that, I'd like to start out with what the AVMA has put together. It is their Companion Animal Aftercare brochure. It's very brief, very succinct, with good information to help at least get you going in the right direction, but probably isn't going to give you all the information that you need to really partner in with aftercare providers and again, make sure that all the wishes for the client or the pet owner are carried out. So there's a lot more to this, but this is a really good start, and we're grateful to the AVMA for at least getting things launched and moving in the right direction so that we can meet everyone's needs. So you can get a hold of this brochure from the AVMA's website. Just type in Companion Animal Aftercare. Probably brochure would be the best thing. And you'll find it as a PDF. They don't actually have it in printed form. So these are the positions that the AVMA has taken, and you'll see this was originally developed in 2017, so it's been around for a while. We are going to go through all of these individually, but wanted to go ahead and show them to you as a collective group. All of them very important. Some of them are going to be more involved than others, but again, the idea is that we make sure to care for these pets, even though they're deceased, in the right way, very respectful, very meaningful, and making sure that we align with the wishes of the client. So let's start with encourage pre-planning. Boy, I find this extremely important. The more you read through CADA information, you will find the same. We really like the idea of getting information out there, not only to the client ahead of time, but learning what's important to them. So to encourage pre-planning, with aftercare, you can consider listing out information on your website, maybe having some send-home materials that you can provide for them to get them thinking about what they want for their pet's aftercare. And you know, there was a study that came out in 2020 that looked at what really do clients want from their veterinary team regarding aftercare planning. And for the most part, they said that, 5 to 10 minutes just talking through their options is important to them. Doesn't have to be much more robust or deep. And especially if we can provide them with materials to read, that's going to give them that much more information. So 5 to 10 minutes might pare down to 1 or 2, just depending on how prepared that they are. But spending some time to talk through these things are important to our clients. And then invite families to talk about what they want. It's okay to open up that dialogue and give that space to them. It's very kind of enriching. It's very intimate to have that experience with a client, have that conversation. And we may find that just opening up that floor a little bit, providing that space, really gives them a chance to share what's important to them, including memorialization and any other special touches that they would like for their beloved pet. All right, moving on then, understand legal restrictions. Whether or not you practice in an area like this or an area like this, where it's going to be a lot more compact, a much busier population or deeper demographic, there are a lot of regulations, restrictions that could be in place. So it's important to understand what's in your area, what's in your neck of the woods. So learn about what's allowed in your community, inform the client so that they know those best practices. They can do their home burial if that's going to be what they're going to do in an ideal and safe disposition way. And then follow those guidelines to protect people, animals, and the environment. So again, whether or not it's cremation, aquamation, home burial, even landfill disposition still happens, pet cemetery burial, understand what's allowed in your community and then provide that education and that information to your clients. That's just good medicine, good practice. All right, and then handle remains with sensitivity. So what the AVMA is referring to here is care for deceased pets as if they were living. You know, what I really appreciate about this is that all those teams that I've worked with over the years, their compassion fatigue decreases the more we increase the level of care that we provide for deceased pets. And we're going to talk about that a little bit more in a moment. But the remains can also be, of course, the ashes, right? What are we actually returning back to the family in urns or complimentary boxes, whatever that is? You know, care for those ashes in a very respectful manner. And then when it comes time to give ashes back to a family, if they have chosen cremation or aquamation, do so with reverence and ceremony. It's not necessarily ideal to just hand those ashes across the counter and say, have a nice day. Consider a private room, private space where they can grieve, where they can take a moment to breathe and reflect before they have to jump right back in their car and drive home. So depending, of course, on the situation, that might be what you've always done, but there's a way that we can elevate that and increase that reverence. So with that, adequate containment of remains. Probably what the AVMA is referring to here is adequate containment of remains of the ashes themselves, which is why I've shown this image here to demonstrate differences between wooden urns, brass urns, complementary containers. There's ash jewelry and a myriad of other ways that we can contain the ashes, again, in a very respectful way. But what I also see this as is remains might be the pet or the body itself. So I think adequate containment of remains could include more designated or branded cadaver bags that we know are going to produce, or I should say reduce, leaking and, smells, odors, things like that. This is the time, we're in the day and age where we really should not be placing deceased pets in trash bags and contractor bags. It's time for us to elevate this up. In fact, in the 2020 study about Aftercare, which was in the publication Topics in Companion Animal Medicine, that's exactly what the families said that was important to them. They did not approve of trash bags. They did approve, though, of shrouds, of caskets, designated, branded, respectful cadaver bags were acceptable. And one of the products that we recommend here with CADA is Euthabag. It's made by a veterinarian was designed by a veterinarian out of Canada, and their entire team believes in this mission of getting away from just trash bags and really elevating the way that we respect these bodies. It's so important. So ashes, as I said before, should be in also really respectful containers. The ashes should be in sealed bags and respectful vessels like those urns, complementary containers, something else. And then the pets themselves should be placed in, again, branded, designated cadaver bags or something else. And that making sure that everything that has remains of any sort is properly labeled each and every single time. All right, moving along with the AVMA's recommendations is to use trustworthy providers. So visit and see how the facility operates. Talk with colleagues to see who they trust, who is reliable in the community. Look for accreditations and proof of due diligence. One of my favorite things from the Pet Loss Professionals Alliance, also known as the PLPA, is this idea of being 60 minutes ready. So if you contact a crematory or aftercare provider and they say it's going to take a day to get ready for your visit, that might be a little bit of a red flag. So they should always be 60 minutes ready. Basically, they hang up the phone and you can show up in an hour's time and they are top-notch, ready to go for a tour. I used to own a pet crematory in Colorado, and we were 5 minutes ready, right? We were always ready for someone to come and take a tour to see what our service and our team was all about. So use those trustworthy providers, and of course, feel free to offer more choice to your clients, right? We don't necessarily have to say this is the crematory we work with. It's nice to provide those options and let them have more of a voice, more choice. And then if you are the one facilitating these choices for the client, ensure that those proper services have been carried out. So with that, I mean, utilize aftercare forms, document those wishes, and then if ashes are being returned to you, go ahead and take a look at those against your records. Make sure that, yes, the family did want the ashes returned and they hadn't chosen what's called like a communal or a group or a scatter cremation where they weren't expecting the ashes back. Or of course, vice versa, right? Maybe they actually wanted a private It got listed as a communal, and so your team is keeping an eye on when these ashes should be returned to you. Is it a couple days? Is it a week? Is it 2 weeks? Right? Somebody tracking that, monitoring it, making sure that those ashes return in a timely way. Perhaps a paw print was requested by the crematory and it didn't come back with the ashes. So before the client is contacted, checking those records again, making sure that everything that's supposed to be there for pickup is ready. And then if there is an issue, address it first with the aftercare provider and then contact the client as needed going forward from there. So just wrapping back around, a reminder that the American Veterinary Medical Association has put together this informational brochure in a PDF format for you to look back upon, and then also the CATA website. Again, CATA stands for the Companion Animal Euthanasia Training Academy. That website has a wealth of information, in particular in our blog page, where we have lots of information about aftercare and many other topics related around euthanasia. So with that, a big thank you to our 2021 sponsors, Fatal Plus, makers of our preferred euthanasia solution, Euthabag, which was highlighted in this presentation today. They are the makers of a respectful designated branded cadaver bag that is in use for mostly small animals, companion small animals, up to very large dogs or small companion livestock. And then to Regency, which is a trusted aftercare partner who believes in our mission here at CATA to improve euthanasia education as well as aftercare education too. Thank you again for learning with CATA today. I am Dr. Kathleen Cooney, founder and director of education for this academy, and I encourage you to continue learning with us through our Facebook group and our blogs, and of course our 10-hour master certificate program that is available in person and online. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.